Think like a DJ.
On this episode of Think Like a DJ Mixtape Podcast, we conclude our Black Dreamcatchers series with Hollywood writer, director, and executive producer of classic Christmas movie This Christmas, featuring Chris Brown, Lauren London, David Banner, Idris Elba, and Columbus Short, the man, the machine, and the mastermind himself, Ronnie Warner. Tune in as he shares his story of resilience, perseverance, and multi-dimensionalism. Furthermore, we explore his personal leadership philosophies as a triple threat high art creative. Mr. Warner discusses his secrets to success in a career spanning 25 years, including a conversation about the significance of supreme self-care, vertical integration, and reducing barriers to entry into the film industry through fearless networking, drawing a dream circle of support around your business. Get ready to ride along the frequency of faith and amplify your wavelength of success as Mr. Warner directs you through the scenes of his fulfilling life of being a full-time creative. Prepare to learn how he's produced his own story of triumph and how you too can manifest the motion pictures in your own mind's eye. As you stand behind the turntables of life, ride the wave, and prepare to learn how to rock your life party. If your life were a party, how many would RSVP? If you only live once, will your one party become a party of one? As a Black millennial, the future is in our hands to create. We impact culture on a global scale and shape public opinion with our unique worldviews and refined perspectives. Our personal experience alone is one of resilience, passion, and purpose. During this interesting time in world history, keep your head held high, bleeding, bruised, and pale, for we will win. Fate defy, for we aren't afraid to fail. Don't make the same mistake twice, yet fail forward fast and frequently. This episode is sponsored by Intuition Productions and American Family Insurance, Institute for Corporate and Social Impact, closing equity gaps in America. Dreams are made to be achieved. Intuition Productions.
Hey, Ronnie, what's cracking, bro? So you just got done celebrating your anniversary.
I sure did.
What does that feel like to be in a space of love and happiness and just fluidity? Where are you at in your life right now? How would you describe where you are right now?
Man, I'm so happy, man. I like I said, I've been with my wife now 25 years, and we've been together ever since. And so I'm blessed, man. She's been on this journey with me, and it's been a crazy one. You know, she moved out here in LA with me, and you know, she struggled with me when I was, because I was a stand-up comic when she met me. And so, we went through that whole, as a matter of fact, I met her in the comedy club. She was in the audience. And so she's been on this ride with me, and it's been beautiful. It's been a journey. We conquered a lot of conquests, and we've struggled as well. But at the end of the day, God is, giving us the glory, man. And so we have each other and a community of loving and supporting families. I'm blessed right now, bro. I'm at the best time of my life right now, man.
You speak upon just support and having that from your wife, and you being in the entertainment industry. How important is it for you to have had that foundation of that support? How pivotal or how transformational was that? Having your wife there to support you along this journey. Did it make a huge difference, or was it something that was just a byproduct of just you being wanting to be married, or did it help you create the success in your career?
100% helps, because you can't this business, man, you cannot. Okay, let me this business is adversarial at its core. That's what it is. It's the no business. You're living in a 90, probably 9%, 98% no business. And so what you need to create around you is a loving and supporting atmosphere, because you're going to need that to fall back on when you can't do it yourself, right? And so if you don't have that in your life, I can't even fathom that. And I'm not saying you have to have a spouse. I'm saying, but if you do have one and they're not supportive, or a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is, or a parent or anyone that's around you that's not supportive and is in your life, man, bro, that's like that's the worst possible scenario, man. It's the worst possible scenario for this business. So we wouldn't be together if she wasn't supportive. So it'd be impossible, because that would mean that she didn't love me. I'm who I am. I do what I do, right? And so if I don't have someone around me that feels me, it's not gonna work. And that's how I am, man. That wasn't gonna work. And again, for me, she met me inside my business, right? So that also helps. Sometimes I think where people will find a little more strife is if they know someone, and that's what that's what happens with parents sometimes and relatives, because they already know. They know you since you're a child, and all of a sudden you jump into something that seems foreign, that seems dangerous, and all those types of things. People can, not be very supportive of that, and so sometimes that can happen in a relationship. Someone has a job. Had a buddy, as a matter of fact, I remember he had a good little job. He was driving some kind of like truck, like a delivery type of situation, but it was a good company, blah blah blah. And he was doing stand up, and he got to a point. He had kids, wife. He had gotten to a point where he felt like he was doing well enough to leave the his day job or whatever. And that caused a lot of strife because that's not where they had been used to being before, right? And so I understand sometimes in a relationship and, you're just getting into this new thing, maybe called entertainment, whatever it may be. People may be resistant to that. But the bottom line is at the end of the day, if this is what you're going to do, you're going to have support and love around you, man. It's impossible, bro. It is. Even Donald Trump got support and love around him.
That's very true. That's very true. So for those of us who are meeting you for the first time, tell us more about your career. Give us some of your credentials so that folks can familiarize themselves with your work.
No doubt. Yeah, man. Just in a nutshell, I started this business way back, man. I guess in '89 actually, and ultimately, without giving you all the details, I became a stand-up comic. Actually, I ran a comedy club, and I was booking the club and all that stuff, and I was hosting all my own shows. So it just led me into becoming a stand-up. Did that for about 10 years or so, traveling around. And I realized that if I was going to actually be successful, in terms of my finances and all this stuff, because I'm turning around 30. And I'm like, man, I need to start thinking about, what I'm going to do with this. You know what I mean? Like, am I just going to be a guy on the road for the rest of my life, traveling around, making a few dollars, or am I going to learn how to turn this into a career? And partly, I remember, I give you a quick story I thought was pretty interesting. I was, like I said, I used to promote shows and stuff like that. So I promoted a Martin Lawrence concert back in I think it was like 92. And yeah, it was 92. And this is right before he had done Def Jam and the Martin Show. It's like literally that same year, that's when Def Jam started. So I brought him into town, and he had some cachet. He had done couple movies, small movies. He'd done Talking Dirty After Dark. He'd done House Party, I think one or two, at least one. I don't know, maybe even two. And so he had some small notoriety. And so I brought him in. And then that year, after I brought him in, I think I paid him $4,000. And the next year, around that same time, I wanted to bring him back. Now, in that same year, he had started doing the show. Martin had started, and Def Jam had started, right? So I paid him $4,000 that previous year's October. I called his agent the next year because I wanted to try to bring him back. It went from $4,000 to $25,000 in just that 1 year. And I was like, dang, $25,000. I said, well, I ain't had that. So I guess, he wasn't coming. So I guess I'll see you on the next. But then the year after that, he was making $100,000 a show, right? And it was that moment when I was like, yo, man, like it really set in on me, like as a stand-up, you still have the same act, but if all of a sudden you're on TV and in film and that type of thing, it just elevates everything. It elevates your status, it elevates your pay. And so, like I say, over the course of time, I'm running around, I'm doing stand-up, and I'm starting to think like, man, I probably really need to get out to LA, because that's where it is. That's how you make your dreams come true or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Up your status. And so I end up coming out to LA in '99 and started writing, got an agent, for acting and things of that nature. And over the course of time, you build up relationships, this, that, and the third. I ended up writing this script, and with a buddy of mine, we were on this Fox series, and we were two actors on this Fox series. And we met, and we decided to write this script called Puff Puff Pass. And it took us like 3 years, man, working on that thing, because we were kind of working on it, as we could. And finally, I finished it, and a friend of mine was a guy named Mekhi Phifer. And Mekhi at that time was on ER, and I kind of pitched him the script, and he was digging it, and we just decided to partner up. We were already really close friends, and we decided to partner up. He had some really good resources because, of course, he's on a hit show. He's hot as an actor, at that time especially, and so we were able to use that to create other opportunities to meet, meet producers, get meetings with studios, blah, blah, blah. And so that turned into a great opportunity. We ended up getting a deal with Sony, and we shot the film. And that's actually how we met Will Packer, because they brought him on to produce it with us. And so we did the film. It did okay. It became like a little cult classic. It didn't hit the theaters or anything like that, but it became like a cult classic. And from I guess what I would call the underground, if you will. And after that, we were able to secure a deal at Warner Brothers, because Makai was that's where ER was being taped. So there was a relationship there. And so we got a deal over there, and things started to kind of flourish a little bit. And that's when we came upon the opportunity to do This Christmas. And that's my biggest thing I've done. I mean, I've done other things, but that's the one that I guess stands out, because it ultimately did pretty well in our community. And so we did that. And so things were starting to go well. And so we got that going. And then since then, I've done a few other movies. I'm working on a project now, and it just sort of led, these things, each thing you do opens up other opportunities. Sometimes, doors are closed, sometimes doors are open, but they sort of weave you into a pattern. And as you look back, then you realize that was your career. That's your career. But the reality of it, as you're moving and grooving along the way, as doors are opening and closing, they're creating that career, so to speak. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Did you have to have, in your background, did you have to have education in communication arts or radio, TV, film production? What was the education portion of your life before you dove headfirst into your career?
Man, I'm the mean streets dude, man. I'm that dude. I'm a hustler, man. And so, and I don't say that with any kind of, tone one way or the other. That's just how my life unfolded. I'm a person that firmly believes in education, because it makes the roads a little bit simpler, because there's some techniques you've learned, theory you've learned, there's languages you've learned. I'll give you an example. When we first did Puff Puff Pass, right? So now, mind you, I'm a dude that had been. Now, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. I always was. I mean, that's how I got started in the business, right? So I had a natural inkling towards things, a certain intuitive nature about certain things. But I'm talking about practical experience and knowledge I did not have. So when we wrote this, even writing, I didn't study writing. I read books, man. And I met people that were writers. When I was first got into business, I was I was a waiter at a comedy club. And I knew I wanted to write. And I remember I would meet comics that wrote. And I remember I met a couple of guys. I would sit down and ask them questions and stuff like that. And so as I moved out to LA, I would do the same thing. I asked people questions. I read books, so next thing I know, I'm writing, and I was pretty good at it. So, I was able to get something going, and like I said, when we first got Puff Puff Pass made, the first day of what was pre-production, and we had offices at this place, they set up offices. And bro, I'm be honest with you, man, like we walked into this office and there's like 30 people running around, man. I don't know what the hell they doing, bro. I have no idea what, and this is my movie. I'm a producer. I'm the guy, me and Makai, we're both, sharing that responsibility. But what I'm saying is, I didn't know what was going on, bro. But I can't walk around like I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, you take it in, you keep learning as you go. But now maybe let's say had I schooled for this, I would have had an idea about everything that was going on before I got there. But that doesn't mean that I would have gotten there just because I had the education. So you can have all the education you want, but if you don't understand the hustle, if you don't know how to position yourself and know how to put in the right work and know how to come up with the right ideas and all the other things that it takes, it's a formula. Education is a huge part of it and can make it easier for you. But what I'm saying is education comes in many different forms. You know what I mean? Before there were schools, there was community. And so sometimes that's where, and matter of fact, to be honest with you, that's where success lies, man. It's in community. It comes from each one teach one. That's what it really comes from. So the idea of what happens if you go to USC film school is not because of what they taught you at USC film school, which I'm not saying is not great and not important, but it's the connections that you make. Because USC Film School has alumni that are people doing big things in the industry, right? So, and that keeps spreading down. So now you go to USC film school, you come out and there's some alumni that you meet at the thing, at the little mixer or whatever the case may be, and they like you and y'all share that in common. Next thing you know, they're taking you under their wing on some level, right? And or some prestige of the location in which you got the education. It gives you an opportunity, right? If you write Harvard on your resume, and even if you got D's, somebody could try to give you a little shot just because you have Harvard on your resume, right? You know what I'm saying? So it comes in a couple of different, categories of how you can utilize it. But at the end of the day, whether it be a script you wrote or an idea you have or whatever it is that you're presenting, then it ain't gonna matter no way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that the hustle and the resilience and the endurance that you speak of, like starting out as waiting tables and having a dream, having a vision of writing and having a vision of being in the industry and doing more, it really all comes down to a commitment, making a decision. Right. That's chapter 1 in my book. Pick a tempo. Right. Is about making a decision, just like a DJ would do at a party. You got to decide on what you're going to do when you get to the gig, and you at the gig of life, and you got to just decide, this is what I'm going to do. This is the tempo I'm going to take. I'm not going to start slow at 60 beats per minute. I'm going to start at 120. I'm going to double it.
There you go.
So that's what's important for our listeners, is that they tap into and key into a spirit of resilience and endurance no matter where you are and what you're doing. Tell me more about if you weren't a filmmaker doing what you're currently doing, what would you be doing now?
I grew up in construction and real estate. So there's a good chance. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, it's actually a pretty good story. So my dad was an only child, and my dad's gone, but God bless his soul. But I was his only child as well. And my grandfather was a contractor. He had he was a brick mason that was really, really good at his profession, and over the years he built that into a contracting business and then a real estate. We were a small town, but he had a lot of real estate and stuff like that. My grandmother and he had done that. So as my granddad was getting old, I had moved to back up to the Washington D.C. area in Virginia with my mom. And I was like, I don't know, I was 19, 20, something like that. And my dad had and my goal, I saved up like $5,000, and I had a friend of mine who was at USC, and she had helped make some arrangements for me to have like a place to stay for a couple of weeks. Well, I was like, man, I'm going to LA, because I knew I wanted to be in entertainment and stuff like that. And I that's all I knew. I'm going to LA. I had nothing else. And my dad called me. He said, hey son, look, I need you to come on back to North Carolina, man, with blah, blah, blah. And I need you to come back. And I never, disobeyed my father, man. Whatever he said is what I did, right? Well, I ain't gonna say it, but my point is I obeyed him. So I went back to North Carolina. So my at that point, I just figured I was going to be involved with that, sort of. My grandfather had a few, it wasn't that crazy, it wasn't no big empire, but we had a few apartments and things like that, like country level. We had a small town country empire, right? And so I was gonna go back and just meet a young lady and get married and live in my small town and try to grow our little business, right? That was my thought process. And so I enrolled at North Carolina Central University. To sort of, study business, blah, 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 right? That was my goal. That was what I thought. And so, so what happened is, in fact, let me just go back just a little bit, because this is a really good story. So what happened is, my very first year of college, my freshman year, my dad was not a person who really was an education guy. He had a degree and stuff. I'm not saying he wasn't an educator. He didn't believe in education, but I'm saying he was a guy that never was involved in my education growing up. He wasn't a guy that said, how you doing in school? He didn't. That's not how we operated. We were sports people. My dad was a coach, and all we talked about was sports. So that's just how that went. He asked me about gym class. That was when I come home. He asked me how the gym go, because he used to be a gym teacher back in the day as well. And so that was our relationship. So I got to school, and I wasn't no great student. So I got to college, and my dad asked me. He said, "What's your major?" I said, And like I said, he never, asked me kind of stuff like that. But, he asked me what my major was. I said, well, I'm pre-med. And Martinez, mind you, there was nothing pre-med about me, brother. I failed chemistry in high school, son. How you fail chemistry in high school and you pre-med? But anyway, so that's what I tell him. And my dad goes, pre-med. Come on, man. We got business, man. You need to be majoring in business, because whatever. And so I was like, man, whatever. I go on about my business. I end up not doing well. I leave after my freshman year. I joined the Marine Corps, and I come back because I did like a year training, and because I ultimately went into the reserves. So I did all the little training, boot camp, training school, and then I came back out to go into the reserves, right? So that's when I ended up. My dad called me. That's when I went back down to North Carolina, like I told you before, to help with the business, and I got in school. So now, mind you, I'm down here. I'm in school. I'm trying to move towards this goal of what my father kind of envisioned us doing, right? So I'm down there hustling and trying to make it happen. And ain't nobody paying for this stuff. I'm living, right? So I'm maybe about 23. And my dad goes, he hadn't said nothing to me. He goes, so what you majoring in? I said, oh, I'm majoring in business, man. Finance. He said, business? What you gonna do with a business degree? Man, you need to do something with computers. I said, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, hold up, man. Didn't this dude just tell me that I should be majoring in, like all this stuff? And at that moment, Martinez, I realized, man, I'm chasing somebody else's vision of my life. I want to do something else. I just not, I ain't want to be in the first place. And at that moment, man, I just went into this whole different groove in my brain. And I remember sitting in calculus class. Calculus class became the time of day that I would work on this script I had come up with. So I had just checked out, bro. I was there thinking about writing. I was thinking about what I wanted to really do. And I'm telling you how God worked. I'm looking in the paper because I had a little habit. When you young and you black and you out here just in the world, you always getting these little jobs, because you ain't never got no real job. You just got a little job that you're doing something. You know what I mean? Could be driving a truck, could be waiting tables, be whatever. But I'm looking, and I'm telling you, man, I seen a job opening at a comedy club. And this is in Durham, North Carolina. This ain't no place where you see no comedy clubs, right? And I said, what? And I went down there, and I trying to get, they weren't hiring waiters. They were hiring waitresses, cocktail waitresses, and they were hiring barbacks and food runners. And the guy said, well, which one you want to do? You apply for the barback or the food runner. I said, man, I don't care. I said, I just want to be I said, whatever gets me inside the comedy club, man, so I can be around it. And for whatever reason, man, that guy maybe liked me or something, man, like thought I had, I don't know, something. He said, how about I let you wait tables? Because I normally only going to have females, but I'll let you wait tables. Because I was saying I wanted to be in the club. In that moment, I didn't turn around. From that moment on, I've been in this business ever since that day. It just kept going. So at the end of the day, it was kind of one of those things where, I'm sorry, I know I digressed from the question a little bit, but going back, my background was in construction, real estate, things like that. So, and I like working with my hands. I like working on cars. I have a motorcycle mechanic's license. I don't do it as a living, obviously, but I would have been probably doing something like that for sure. But again, when God got a plan for you, bro, ain't nothing you can do about that.
Well, what I'm hearing you speak to is that tunnel vision that it takes to lock in and commit to a goal, and really to drop your first record. Is the second chapter in my book is to have you first pick a tempo in chapter 1 where you want to go. You envision, you visualize, and picturize, and then you got to get in the game. You got to drop your first record. So for you to say, whatever get me around it, whatever gets me around my dream, whatever get me around that energy, that frequency, that starts to create a law of attraction. That starts to move the planets and align them in your direction. So that tunnel vision, I think, is what a lot of young people, they don't pay attention to their own business enough. They're in everybody else's circle. They're in everybody else's vision, what the guy next to him is doing. And I wanted you to speak to that. Did you always believe in yourself as much as you do today? Did you always have, I know you've always had tunnel vision, but did you always believe in yourself as a young man?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I got insecurities like anybody else does, but yeah, I believe in myself probably. See, To be in entertainment, and you got to know this, you got to be just a little delusional. Like you can't be really practical, man. Like you got to be a little. It's like I always equated. I used to tell people this all the time, and there's a fine line. I don't know if you ever used to watch American Idol, but the early seasons of American Idol, they would show, and I guess at some point they probably thought it was mean, but they would show the auditions of the people that were horrible, right? And now they don't do that anymore, because I guess at some point they say, hey man, we shouldn't do that, it's mean. But they would show auditions of people that were very bad singers, and inevitably, first off, you showed up and auditioned for American Idol, and you're a bad singer. All right, so that's already a sign. But then they would interview the people afterwards, and they put the finger up at the camera. I'm going to be a star. You don't know, they made the worst mistake of their life. Everyone says I'm great. And just sitting there going, like, what? You are horrible. Like, who told you can sing? But see, that's my point. And I used to tell my buddies, I say, those are the people that move to LA and try to make it. And so the thing is, we're all a little bit of that. A little delusional, but the difference is, there are those of us who actually have talent, right? And so now we can use that talent, hopefully, to leverage our way into whatever it is our dreams, we aspire to. But you're always almost a little I'm not going to say overconfident, but you believe in something bigger than yourself. And so that's one of the things I think that you kind of have to have. Now, there are people that sort of back into it almost, right? Because let's say you are very talented, right? Let's say you're very talented, and sometimes people get discovered, if you will, right? But that's all still the same thing at the end of the day, because it's not just you. It's a bunch of folks that are involved with this, right? So if in other words, if you were to if you got discovered, that means you got discovered by someone who had big dreams too, because how are they going to put you in a position to win if they didn't have big dreams of winning, right? So you get my point. So it's not even just the person that we're seeing out front; it's the whole thing. Everyone in line, for every Jay-Z you see, man, there's another 100 people that's behind that machine that created the pathway for Jay-Z to be Jay-Z. And so, it's one of those things where, like you said before, tunnel vision is obviously super important. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's and belief in self is super important. But it's also, it has to be sort of honed in on, like one of something my grandfather told me that all my life, till he passed on, but he used to always say this. He said, the best gift a man can give himself is to know himself. And see, that's where truth lies. So now once you tap in on what your talents are and who you are and what you bring to the table, it just makes it a little bit, the ride a little smoother. You don't want to overshot it. That's the whole thing. Think you're bigger than it really is. And we all go through that a little bit. We all go through that just a little bit. But I'd rather believe in myself just a little bit more than I should than under what I should,
Right. Like Jay-Z said, you mentioned Jay, he said, would I rather be overpaid or underrated? He said, just pay me more.
No, bro, that's it, man. Talk about me. Tell me he ain't deserve it. That's cool. Talk about my back.
I thought one of the most important aspects of our conversation was when Ronnie talked about taking care of your body, when he mentioned meditative practice as a way to heal ourselves and reveal our wealth, ultimately creating a positive mindset where we can stay grounded and let go of false narratives as young people who often create realities in our own head that sometimes don't exist, and not allowing other people's energy to encompass our energy and affect us in a negative fashion. I really appreciated the fact that Ronnie talked about how mental, spiritual, and physical health is actually wealth, that your wealth is tied to your health, and your health should actually be at the center of your concern. As young folks, we love money, we love success, but we must be healthy enough to spend the money that we make. This episode is sponsored by American Family Insurance, Institute for Corporate and Social Impact. Let's get back in the mix.
Well, this makes me think about self-talk. How do you encourage yourself when you are an artist? I mean, obviously most artists are empaths, and we sometimes get in our own way emotionally. What do you do for self-talk? Do you have a morning routine? Do you have a writing process or a reading, or you eat certain types of happy food? Like I eat a lot of oranges, and oranges just make me smile when I'm having a bad day. I'll bust open a kiwi.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. That's smart. I like that. I might try to see if them oranges work for me. No, but yeah, I'm a meditator, man. So that's my ritual. I every morning I get up. That's the first thing I do. Is I have a meditation ritual and prayer, and affirmation. That's part of that saved me, man. Like I'll be honest with you, that really did, because if you don't, because it allowed me. It was my potential path to tap into my greatest good and who I am. And it allowed me to let go of false narratives. It allowed me to sort of shred some of the negativity that maybe because see, over the course of life, what happens is, I'll give an example. You can look in the mirror. This is the average person. You can look in the mirror, put an outfit on, and go, yeah, okay, I'm feeling this. Okay, yeah, that's what's up. You're gonna turn to the side. Yeah, that's what's up. Might even try to see what everybody looking like behind. Turn around a little bit. Okay, all right, everybody looking good. You're gonna do that little that squeeze your chin thing where you kind of put your face up, your fingers up on your chin. Go, yeah, I'm looking good. You don't do all that, right? Walk out the house.
Right.
Say you're going to the club or wherever you're going to, and some chick, female or male, if you're a female, walk past you, and they're attractive. Let's say they're attractive. You're like, damn. And they look at you like, that's what you put on, and walk on. You're going to feel mad and insecure. You are. Even though you looked at yourself and said, yeah, man, yeah, I'm looking good. If somebody says you don't, you're going to all of a sudden believe it. That's how life works. And what happens is we carry all them little moments with us through our life, and they add up and they add up. And next thing you know, you have insecurities about things that there's no reason to have insecurity about, other than the fact that some folks around you felt that you should be insecure about it, right? And so for me, meditative practices, spiritual practices, affirmations, things of that nature, man, the understanding of God's glory, for me, has allowed me to start shred some of those things, and start pushing some of those things away that would make me feel maybe bad about myself or hold me back in some way from showcasing my full self, my full talent, my full abilities, because I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling, whatever it is that is causing me discomfort. And it's normally just psychological stuff you made up in your mind. And so for me, grounding yourself in some sort of practice, like I say, it could be, and also health, man. I'm a health nut. I'm very into the proper, care of your body, because I think that's your temple. And if you're not taking care of it, engaging in self-care, then you're not being all that you were intended to be. And so it's sort of mind, body, and spirit, if you will. And so again, mind, meditation, spirit, prayer, affirmation, and body, like I say, nutrition and things of that nature, trying to, my wife and I go to the beach all the time. So I try to engage in things that put me in a more of a happy space, right? Because if you don't, man, like this stuff around you, I mean, it's chaos. It's constant chaos. Turn on the news. You just all of a sudden just got negativity going on all over the place, man. All over the place. And so for me, that's been a lifesaver. I believe in that with everything I have. But that's my sort of way in which I cope with it.
And that's helping you not only stay grounded, but also let go, like you said, of those false narratives and things that kick up in your imagination that are not true, or energy that you get from other people that seems to find you.
Right.
So there's a huge a surgence. I can't even say a resurgence. There's a surgence of blackness in film that we probably have never seen. I watched the documentary They've Gotta Have Us, where Simon Friedrich is talking about how blackness has become palpable and it has become something that's sought after in the entertainment industry, because it's 40 million black people in this country, and we are power players when it comes to spending our money on entertainment. So, from your side of the table, looking at that and knowing that things are developing and growing, how has being holding the agency and the identity of a Black man in Hollywood, how has that personally impacted you as you developed your career? Has it been more good, bad, or indifferent?
It's been enlightening. Because I'm from a somewhat of different age, in terms of, because I gotta look at myself coming up in the game. It was, my 20s and stuff like that. I was, I was in the 90s, and I got out here in 99, so it's early 2000s. So things clearly had. I mean, I was in there when, the whole Tyler Perry came on the scene, right? So it's a whole new emergence of Black film and people participating in it, and the level in which they're participating. And so things quite naturally will change somewhat because business dictates that it must. I'm going to give you a little bit of a sort of understanding of how it works in terms of, because at the end of the day, it's never about social empathy. Okay, it's about the bottom line, because these are national companies that are funding projects. Okay, and so at the end of the day, they want to make money. That's all they want to do is make money, right? Now, the reason that outside of racism and things like that, but I'm talking about monetarily. At one point, one of the biggest problems in Black cinema is the fact that, see, a lot of people don't realize that American cinema is largely makes most of its money overseas. And so, when they say overseas, they're really only talking about European countries mostly, right? And then maybe a little couple stuff out in the Middle East and this, that, and third. And they don't even they don't count Africa. The only place they count Africa is any kind of monetary concern or that would creep up into where it matters, is South Africa, because that's what they're selling in American culture to everyone around the world is white culture. That's what it is to everyone around the world from the outside looking in. Okay, and so what was happening is, if you look at, like, take a Tyler Perry movie or something like that, or This Christmas, for example, if you look at the gross sales in America, you'll see a nice number, but then as soon as you see the sales overseas, it'd be like negligible, right? So what happens is, they just look at us like, well, we're only going to make so much money because you're at the end of the day, this industry is trying to sell to all 7 billion people, right? So to speak, on Earth, right? And African Americans are 40 some million, 50 million or whatever in the United States, right? So it becomes a thing where business wise, they use that as a way to not invest, right? Tyler Perry comes along and they're like, well, shit, hold up, man, this dude making a lot of money. This guy's making a lot of money. Hold up. And at first they just was like, okay, it's just him. Right, and so they okay, he's over there doing that thing. But as things started to like percolate, you got Will Packer coming on, and they're making money doing film. They're still not paying attention. But then all of a sudden, you see all these other things happening: social upheaval, people, the Oscars so white, all those things. People starting to speak out because they're becoming empowered, right? And big businesses are starting to go, have to adopt Black Lives Matter, because they go, man, these people are spending money, so they can't just Walmart and them can't like just dismiss that. Target can't do. If someone is caught, saying something crazy on social media, using the N-word or something like that, and they work at Walmart, they're fired, man. So people are getting, hold up, man, we gotta be sensitive to this thing. These people spending money, da 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 da. So over the course of time, you had this, and this happened before. This has happened before. What do you think the 70s was about? What do you think blaxploitation was about? This ain't the first time this happened, okay? So I don't want us to get too caught up in the happy place. We got work to do. So these young filmmakers and folks that are getting some kind of power, you need to use that power and leverage it. And because once you leverage it, now you can create a whole new biosphere, so to speak. And once you do that, now it takes on a whole new shape. And I think that is happening. I do honestly think that when we emerge out of this, these new young filmmakers that are these kids that grew up in the suburbs and they have these vast experience of all kinds of things. They're writing and creating things that are taking us to a whole new space. And I think when it's all said and done, we will see a lot more opportunities. But what I am hoping is that the power brokers, because that's where diversity is going to have to, be created. And then those power brokers have to be people that actually didn't engage for their own self-worth, but they engage for the worth of the community. And if that's happening, see, because that's key, bro. It's like what's going on with this Trump thing. Now, if he had actually emerged as a person for the people, reality, like if he really was a person for the people, it'd be different. But we all know he's a narcissistic, con man type of dude, right?
Right.
So the people are following him with blind hope, with no foundation. It's like a house of cards. It's inevitably going to fall because it's not genuine. It's just about this one person. And so my point is, hopefully some of these folks that have created some of this leverage through their opportunities are actually about the community and not just about what's going to work for themselves. Because if they are about just what's going to work for themselves, that means that they're going to be trying to please, and I hate to use the word oppressor, but I'm just using it to just make a point, but please the oppressor. Now, I don't think they're really oppressors. I think they're just people that's caught up in their own thing. Because I'm not going to give you that title, because I'm not going to give you that power over me. But I'm saying that's sort of how it plays itself out, though, right? And so that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping, because there's some really good stuff out there, man. There's some smart people out there. It's like if I digress just slightly, the young lady Amanda Gorman, who's a poet laureate that spoke at the inauguration, as 20-year-old young black female from out here. She has all the accolades, Harvard educated and all that kind of stuff. And so people were like, they on CNN going, oh yes, she was amazing, because she was. And my man Don Lemon pointed out something. I was like, man, I said, I'm so glad he said that. He said, look, no, she is amazing, and she deserves all the accolades she's going to get, and she's getting now. And so I'm not ever going to take anything away from that. But let's not get this confused. There's thousands out there just like her. She's just an example of black excellence.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So the thing is, we don't be just that one. Because you know how that is, man. Black folks will do that sometimes. Just be the one, want to be the one in the house. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got my family in there. We're all doing well. You know what I'm saying? And they see another black person coming, they go, oh man, what this nigga want? That happens, man. We have those people in our community. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. And some of those people get tapped up into the power broker positions, or seemingly power broker positions. And so we just got to keep hoping that, we got some folks in there that are there and care about the community and care about opportunity. And I think we'll be in good shape, because I do think we do have that. I think my man that's done Blackish and all that stuff. I think he's creating a great opportunities for some folks. And there's some other people out there, man, that have done the same thing. And so Will Packer's obviously out there doing that, and he's a guy I've worked with, and I know for a fact that he makes sure that people are being hired behind the scenes, because see, that's where we need them, Martinez. We don't need them in front of the camera as much as we need them behind it.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. You spoke a lot about how to. What I'm gathering is that from what I can see, is that you keep control over your destiny, over your career. How does being a writer, producer, and executive producer, and a director, how do these different titles, how do they contribute to you keeping control of your creative control of your destiny and your work, so that you continue to have skin in the game?
I think it helps. I mean, because but at the end of the day, it's about this, man. It's very simple. It's like the pig, right? Like folks learn how to use every part of the pig to eat, right? They eat that joke. The feet, the knuckles, the nose, the ears. I mean, it's like, and you have to sort of treat yourself the same way. What are your talents? Can you write? Can you act? Whatever you can do if you can do multiple things, it does help because now you have a better opportunity holistically speaking, right? Now, at the end of the day, you still need to, be able to create content and put it out there. So that takes, that also takes money and those types of things as well. So we can't, it's hard to get around the inevitable that you're going to need financing, things like that. But I do believe that having multiple, I don't want to use the word gifts because it's beyond gifts. It's just, multiple talents or multiple things that you study, right? So in other words, if you go into this entertainment thing, you're an actor, it's a good idea to learn other things, right? Even if you don't practice them yourself, it's good to learn about them because it gives you a better understanding of the entire business. I talk to people all the time that are actors and they have no idea how movies are made. They have no idea how the business works. And I'm like, man, if you don't understand all that, it doesn't inform you on how to play the game. I mean, that's like somebody throwing you on the basketball court and maybe you know how to dribble, but you don't know none of the rules. You don't know nothing.
Right.
So, you may dribble up the court and man, dude dribble. Oh, he dribbled through everybody, but just keep going out of bounds. hey, man, you went out of bounds, man. You ain't supposed to do that. Oh, yeah, but I was, yeah, man, but give me the ball, man. Give me the ball. You turned it over. Get out of here. So that's how I look at it. For me personally, I'm like I say, man, I come from a hustle mentality. You know what I mean? So I believe in exploitation, right? So see, I exploit myself. So I treat myself as multiple entities, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm one of them. I'm the boss. Okay, one of them is that guy, the CEO, and then I delegate down the line. And each step of the way, if it's something that I have a skill set in, then I will employ myself. You know what I mean? So okay, all right, okay, we trying to get this done, and so then I'm also a producer, right? So I got to have a script to produce, right? So hey man, then you write the script, okay? So it's that kind of thing, I want to I want to do something like a web series. Let's say I want to do a web series. I say, okay, how are you gonna do it? Okay, well you write it. You know how to write? Okay, I'll write it. All right, and we gotta get somebody to direct it. Well, you can direct. You direct it. You know what I mean? So now it becomes I'm utilizing myself.
That's fire.
You know what I mean? And then when you do that, then other people engage as well because they see you doing the work too. They see you putting in your effort. You can't just go out there and want. Come on, y'all, do this for me. What are you doing? I'm just gonna be sitting over here. Y'all, I always say this is the example I always use. Martinez, I say, all right, me and you want to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I got one slice of bread. I mean, I got two slices of bread. You got two slices of bread. I got some peanut butter. You got some jelly. And we come together and say, hey, man, you got peanut butter? Okay, man, and you mind if I get, okay. And then we both have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich going about our business, right? We're all happy.
Right.
Now, let's say, same scenario. You want peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I want peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You got 4 slices of bread. You got peanut butter. You got jelly. And I got nothing. And I say, hey, man, let's get together and make some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Well, okay, I really don't need you for that.
You ain't got nothing to make a sandwich with.
Are you asking me to share my peanut butter and jelly with you? I mean, what are you saying here, right? And so it's kind of like, what do you bring to the table? And that's how I kind of look at it, man. Like that, and that's how the game works, man. You can't go all the time with your hand out. You gotta have something that you're putting, some sweat equity, something. And so over the course of my career, I kept learning different things because I wanted to, empower myself a little bit more and not be, just at the mercy of someone else's vision. And that can be okay. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what's going on. But I'm just saying that's me. So for me, it's helped me. I say tremendously. It's helped me because it's given me opportunities in other places, right? So I definitely and it's kept me somewhat relevant over the years because I was able to sort of figure out a few other skill sets, I guess, if you will.
And you can pivot in different directions. So we're gonna wrap this thing up. I'm gonna play a game with you, but before we get to that, I wanted to just ask you, because we're already in this lane and in this avenue about the future of Black filmmaking and the future of Black storytellers. Tell me from your side of the table, you haven't been in the industry and haven't executed really powerful projects. What do you see as your freedom dream? What's your freedom dream for the future of Black filmmakers and storytellers? We know where we've been over the last, let's say, 400 years. Black people been in this country. We know about the films like Birth of a Nation. We know about the early 90s boom when you're talking about Martin Lawrence and Steve Harvey and Jamie Foxx show and things that have happened. Tyler Perry, Will Packer, Lena Waithe. What do you feel like is your freedom dream for the future of Black filmmakers and Black storytellers?
Well, this is what I'm hoping is happening. And I think it probably is. I think that folks are becoming more educated, right? And see what you gotta give me a second, because I gotta be able to break this down properly. I won't call myself a historian, but I definitely read books on the history of Hollywood and stuff like that. So I some running idea of how things unfolded, this, that, and the third. So what has happened over the course, again, it's just like anything else, a community. So what has happened over the course of the entirety of this industry, because it's not that old. So, but what's happened is, as it has grown, like you have all these different unions, that encapsulate various functions, right? You have a union that deals with transportation. You have a union that deals with set design and set building. You have a union that deals with electric work. You know what I'm saying? You have a union that deals with the producers, directors. There's all actors. There's unions for everything, right? And these unions are designed to protect the individual skilled tradesmen in the various components that it takes to build a film, right? Now, within this union, you got to get brought into the union, right? And once you're brought into the union, you find out about jobs. There are people, there are friends, there are people that you start to communicate with that are helping you grow and that are sharing and supporting you in your growth, okay? And so what has happened with Black folks in everything is we've been largely kept out. And so when you're kept out of something, as that thing continues to grow, you're kept out of the information that's related to the technology, right?
Yep.
Because if you look at a film in look, man, we're talking about just 100 years. When they were first doing silent films, right? One of the early silent films, and then they would be like 5 minutes long, right? Was they had a train, right? They had a camera on a track, and a train was just coming towards the camera. That's all it was, just silent, coming towards the camera. People in the audience,
they thought it was about to hit them in the nose.
Yeah, they're ducking, right? Yeah. So you're like, yeah. So now, man, we got aliens. I mean, we got all kinds of technologies available now. Cameras, the way in which the dynamics in which they shoot, the lighting techniques, everything. And so what happens is, when we're the young little independent hustler, like you, let's say you, even with Tyler Perry, you could see that he didn't have experience in filmmaking. You could look at it in his early films. You could see it, because he wasn't. No one put him under his wing and showed him filmmaking. So he was going out there just kind of making it happen, and you could see the difference. Now, fortunately, he was catering to an audience that was starving for content. We don't get a lot of content, especially at the time. We were getting a lot of content that showed us. Because we didn't have all this streaming platform where you could see a bunch of different content. I mean, we had obviously people bootlegging DVDs, blah blah blah. But my point is, but what I'm hoping now is that through Tyler Perry's emergence and then Will Packer, who does extremely quality films, that they have inspired kids at a young age, right, to seek education in this. So that as they start to make films, they're coming up into the game understanding the technology of filmmaking. And when you understand the technology of filmmaking, now you can grasp what it takes to make a quality film to put out into the universe, so it can go out and spread around the world and have a return. And when that happens, Now all of a sudden the seeds of this industry start to grow, right? They start to sprout. And now you're not coming from, hey man, like me, let me figure this out. How I figure this out. So I'm gonna read some books. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to kind of figure it out. Hopefully I'll find, some quality folks to help me along the way, right? Because see, that's the thing. You got to get a DP. You got to get a first AD. You got to get a line producer. You got to get a set decoration. You got to get a locations person. You got to get all these people. And guess what? One of those people aren't in your community. One of those people don't go to your church. One of those people don't look like you. Saying that, you got to go find them.
Mm-hmm.
And are they going to want to do you favors? Are they going to want to believe in your dream? See, that's the thing. That's where things are going to start to change. When you have, when the young black writer knows a black DP, knows a black first AD, knows a black line producer, knows a black location scout person, knows a black grip and electric, that when they go out and they're trying to make their independent film and they only got a few dollars, but they got a good script, they got and they have these people that they can go out with that's in their community and they can create these amazing pieces. See, that's what it's going to take, bruh. I'm telling you that right now. If you don't have the foundation, if you don't have what's down at the bottom of this thing, you ain't way to do it. So I'm praying I believe that's what's happening. This, like, come on, bruh. If you ain't nothing but the talent, you ain't the producer, you ain't the writer, you ain't the distribution company, you ain't the label. Come on, man. What you going to grow?
Exactly. You got to put yourself in the line of achievement. You got to align yourself with the ultimate goal, which you're going to have to pull in some other skills and talents and gifts and abilities.
Yeah, have to.
That's how it happens.
And it's harder when they don't look like you and don't speak your language and share your thing. It's just, that's life, man. I don't care where you go. I don't care where you go. It's going to be hard. If you speak English and somebody speak French, man, I'm not saying y'all can't work together, but it's going to be hard.
Right. And
where you going to meet them? Where you going to meet them at?
And you just want to lower the barriers to entry. So I'm going to jump into just asking you about the 7 steps in the book of the 7 steps to spend poverty into prosperity, which you have done, going from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance. And I want to, just see which one you really resonate of the 7 steps to spend poverty into prosperity and to think like a DJ book. Pick a tempo, drop your first record, feel the beat. Which of the 7 steps most resonate with you and why? Well,
I thought about this. I think, honestly, God, I only have to pick one, huh? I'd like to pick all 7. No. But I'm gonna tell you, man. See, because there's so many levels. If I have to just, okay, I'm gonna pick one, obviously, because it's what you told me to do. But I have to say this and just give a little bit to it. And my choice was kind of between 2 and 4. Okay. But I'm going to go with 4. Okay. And it's radically trust yourself. That's all you're going to have.
Chapter 4, ride the wave, radically trusting yourself.
At the end of the day, man, that's where God's will sits, is where you sit. Right. And so if you're not trusting you, now, again, there's work you got to do to get to where you're free, right? I mean, it's like if you the crackhead, and no disrespect to the crackheads, but if you're a crackhead, I'm just giving you an example, then you ain't freed yourself enough to make decisions that are not guided by your addiction, right? Right. So. I don't know, in that particular case, radically trusting yourself is the best case because you have addiction attached to you. Okay. So I'm saying radically trust yourself. So therefore work on yourself. Right. So in other words, if you are to get in your car and drive it across the country, right, you need to radically trust your car, right? Because you need it to make it. Right. So if in order for you to radically trust it, what do you have to do? You got to make sure it's maintained. You got to make sure that the engine is running, oil's in the car, the gas is in the car, that they ain't got, it ain't gonna run hot and all these other kind of things. So that's why I say radically trust yourself, but take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, man, that's to me, that's who you have to look at, man, in the mirror. That's you know, don't be mad at somebody that didn't, you know, you didn't send them your script and they ain't hit you back, and then you mad, man. Nah, man, you trust you. Don't worry about that. Then keep it moving, because there's a path for you out there. It's yours. It's your path, and you get to dictate what happens within the dynamics of that path. Now, you may not be able to dictate the entirety of the path, because we are born into who we are, right? So I can't be 4'2" and think my path is to play on the Lakers. Like that, man. That, you know, I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know if that was your path. Man, you need to focus. You know what I'm saying? But refocus. Right? but you feel my point, right? So, but just because
yes, sir.
But maybe your path is to be a part of the Laker organization. So that's how you gotta refocus it. Maybe it wasn't for you to be the center or on the team, but maybe it was for you to study how to be a center. And next thing you know, you're some kind of coach or some kind of strength trainer or some kind of whatever. You don't never know. You never know what that is, but it got to come from source, and it starts with you. So that's why I say that.
Well, that leads me to say that you have done that yourself. To hear your story and to hear that you started out, waiting tables in a comedy club, and how you took that and spun that into a career, and where you still relevant, at this point in your career, at this phase in your life, you have done that and refocused and repositioned and manifested something that was inside outwardly.
You're right.
So congratulations to you. You spinning your party and you rocking your party. So complete the following sentence. My vision for the next 400 years for Black people is...
I say this every morning in my prayer. May my people rise to lead us to salvation. We are the key to salvation of mankind on this earth. We are the original man, modern man. We have humanity, and spirit is in our essence, is in our core. And so my prayer is that we continue, and I already know we are, but we continue on that track towards leading the entirety of us to salvation.
Hey, and I want to do one more before we go. I'm going to play this game with you. It's called In the Mix. It's a rapid rotation game. It's just word association. It's 7 words, and I want you to tell me what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear one of the words. So the first one is Black excellence.
Character.
How about financial freedom?
The first word that came to my mind is truth.
All right, true. How about Black wealth?
Excellent.
Leadership?
Faith.
What does destiny mean to you? What does destiny sound like?
God's will.
And how about purpose?
I'm going to go right back. God's will. I'm gonna add prayer into that, because that was the second word that came to my mind. Go ahead.
Prayer and purpose came together, huh?
Be it God's will.
And lastly, go ahead. Tell me more. Why do those two stick out together? Prayer and purpose.
Well, my philosophical belief is that to tune into your purpose is also tuning into God's will, right? It's all one thing. It's an alignment, and it's an enlightenment. And once you find that, then you're living in the flow. There's nothing bad is happening ever, and it's not the bad you think. See, because we don't even understand what good and bad is. I'm saying when you understand purpose, man, when you walk through that, man, you get it. You get it. Even when it looks bad, you understand there's purpose behind it.
And all things work good for the better for those who believe.
It does, man. Life and death is inevitable, right? It's happening constantly. That's a part of the circle of life. And so at the worst case scenario, my point is the worst case scenario is beautiful. It's just that, we got to deal with it, if that makes sense, and understand it.
And that leads me to my final phrase and my final word: fulfillment.
Took me a second.
Yeah. Choice. Thank you for your time, Ronnie.
Love it, man. I give thanks, honor, and praise that you chose me to be a part of it, brother.
On the next Think Like a DJ mixtape podcast, tune in as we engage in intelligent discussions that are sure to uplift, enlighten, inspire, and edutain. If your life were a party, how many would RSVP? If you only live once, will your one party become a party of one?
Think like a DJ.
If you want it done right, get M White.
dreams are made to be achieved.